during the Dark Continent were also traders, and they had acquired muskets, and they had acquired other things that came from Arabia, Europe, and other parts of Africa. And so they were not as ignorant of technologies as people like to pretend they were. They were not even ignorant of the outside world. But here's something that shows that their ignorance was maybe more underestimated than people think. So, in the Bwembe language, terra terra means paper. And at this time, this paper was of very great importance to the Bwende people, and I will show you why. This prediction that we'll be reading in this next paragraph is eerily similar to what happened in real life, and it will scare the living hell out of everybody, especially if you think about the fact that this book was published decades before the prediction came to, and you will see. He writes, warriors armed with muskets were seen descending the tableland and advancing towards our camp. There may have been between 500 and 600 of them. We, on the other hand, had made but few preparations except such as would justify us replying to them in the event of the actual commencement of hostilities, but I had made many firm friends amongst them, and I firmly believed that I would be alone to avert an open rapture. When they had assembled to about 100 yards in front of my camp, Safani and I walked up towards them and sat down midway. Some half a dozen of the Moa people came near, and the shari began. What is the matter, my friends? I asked. Why do you come with guns in your hands in such numbers, as though you were coming to fight? 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 Us? Your friends? Tut. This is some great mistake, surely. Mandela replied, one of them, a tall fellow with a mop head, which reminded me of Mwana Saramba, who had accompanied me round Lake Victoria. Our people saw you yesterday make marks on some taratara paper. This is very bad. Our country will waste, our goats will die, our bananas will rot, and our women will dry up. What have we done to you that you wish to kill us? We have sold you food and we have brought you wine each day. Your people are allowed to wander where they please without trouble. Why is the Mandela so wicked? We have gathered together to fight you if you do not burn the taratara now before our eyes. If you burn it, we go away and shall be friends as heretofore. I told them to rest there and left Sefani in their hands as a pledge that I should return. My tent was not 50 yards from the spot, but while going towards it, my brain was busy in devising some plan to foil this superstitious madness. My notebook contained a vast number of valuable notes, plans of the falls, creeks, villages, sketches of localities, ethnological and philological details, sufficient to fill 2 octavo volumes. Everything was a general interest to the public. I could not sacrifice it to the childish caprice of savages. As I was rummaging my book box, I came across a volume of Shakespeare, much worn and well thumbed, and which was of the same size as my field book. It covered was similar also, and it might have passed for the notebook, provided that no one remembered its appearance too well. I took it to them. Is this the Taratara, friends, that you wish to burn? Yes, yes, that is it. Well, take it and burn it, or keep it. No, 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 we will not touch it. It is fetish. You must burn it. I will let it be so. I will do anything to please my good friends of Moa. We walked to the nearest fire. I breathed a regretful farewell to my genial companion, which during many weary hours of night had assisted to relieve my mind when oppressed by almost intolerable woes, and then gravely consigned the innocent Shakespeare to the flames, heaping the brush fuel over it. The ceremonious care, breathed the poor deluded natives, sighing their relief. The Mandela is good, is very good. He loves his Moa friends. There is no trouble now, Mandela. The Moa people are not bad, and something approaching to a cheer was shouted amongst them, which terminated the episode of the burning of Shakespeare. I know what you're thinking. Where's the prediction in that? Well, the notes that he was taking down eventually led to the book called Through the Dark Continent, or A Source of the Nile Around the Great Lakes of Equatorial Africa and down the Livingston River to the Atlantic Ocean. And it was published in 1878. This book led Europeans to finally understand what was going on in the Congo in detail, and led to one of the worst massacres ever in history, one of the worst genocides ever, in order to maintain rubber. The predictions of these people, as it says. So let's start again. They said they came down to chase this white man, and they said to this white man, hey, that book you have in your hand, if it's published, if it gets out, if you make it, it will be the death of our nation. And he, instead of burning the book, took out Shakespeare and burnt that, because the people, they didn't know. He did a switcheroo and burned the wrong book on purpose. And as you can see, in 1878, he published the original book, which has the story in it. Really praised for his work in Congo by Europeans, including one European that became infamous in the world, whose name was King Leopold II. And as you can see, in 1885, merely 7 years later, King Leopold established the Congo Free State. And in the beginning, he wasn't as bad as you think he was. But of course, the competition was getting rough, and he became worse and worse and worse. And he ended up basically destroying Congo, this region of Africa, using large amounts of slave labor and screwing the Congolese on one side. And the other side, there were Arabs who came in and they were screwing them on that side. But as you can see, this book that was made, that these people, for some reason, they were not after this man. They were not after anything except that book. And they were like, yo, burn that book before it becomes our destruction. Now, he is making it sound like it was a superstition, but maybe those people knew that this guy had written certain things, and they probably were thinking, if this guy's writing stuff, he's probably taking down details and might, end these people or something. But let's go with what he says. So it was a superstition, but that's one crazy superstition. For it to actually come to fruition merely 7 years later and lead to the deaths, the mutilations, the rapes, the throwaway of the, basically, millions of people died because of this rubber trade in this area. And as you can see on screen, contemporary people at the time said the population fell by about 3 million. And others, like Edmund D. Morrill, said that he counted 20 million souls that had died because the population had decreased by half, at least, is what he saw. Others estimate it was about 5 million. Others estimate that it was 8 million at maximum. No one actually knows how many people died, but these are direct deaths. After that, even after the Congo Free State, the population decline was sharp, and obviously there were people who were mutilated, families were torn apart, and people had to reconstruct themselves once again. This prediction, again, I say it to you, was made by a random tribe in the middle of the Congo and they said, "Hey, burn that book. We'll be friends." Had rubber been traded fairly, it would have been the jumpstart of this civilization, and it would have brought them into the modern day in a way that has never been seen before. But instead, they were taken advantage of, and today Congo is one of the poorest countries in the world because of this history. This is why it's funny when Europeans deny the reality of what they did. And literally, this is very close to our modern day. This isn't from the 1300s or something.